Hey guys, this is Jack from Dicey Decisions, and we're here tonight with one of our players who stepped in for a while, and also a world famous artist. Well, art in the literary terms, an author, Brandi Schonberg, and we're going to ask her some questions. We have a big adventure coming up that's going to be starring some authors of fantasy and sci-fi. Uh, I think maybe sci-fi. Anyway, we have five authors who are going to be playing a D&D game together using the characters that they have created uh, in their books. So, Brandy, welcome.
Yes. Hi.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your big idea?
Well, I have been around D&D a big portion of my life. I've only played a few times, well, now more than I have before, but um I'm an escapist and writing a fantasy story made me think, I would love to be my character, and one of the best ways to do that in the real world is to play that character in a D&D setting, because then you get to make decisions like they would. You would get to speak like they would. And I thought, who better to play a D&D game than storytellers and who have a vested interest in the character because it's the character they made. So I pitched the idea to the good folks at Dicey Decisions, you being one of them. And everybody seemed excited about it. And we have some authors lined up now, and it's slowly but surely becoming a reality.
Well, it sounds really fun, and it's going to be interesting to see the characters that all your buddies, your author buddies, are bringing to the table. For folks who are just here because of Brandy's insane fame and just want to learn about her, if you're not familiar with the game of D&D, which is doubtful, but it's a storytelling game. So a bunch of people gather around and try to tell a story, and the dice really make the decisions for you. So let's get down to brass tacks, kind of. Brandy, can you talk to us a little bit about your book, first of all? Don't start on your character yet, but let's hear about your book in general.
Okay. Um, the book is a fantasy novel, and it is book one in what should be a three-book series called the Immortal Coil Saga. And the first book is The Gate, and it follows or introduces and follows main character Amarin. She is an immortal warrior. She was made immortal by virtue of the fact that she was pulled from her own world through sort of an interdimensional portal, magically, and in doing that, it gave her this immortality. Um, she is over it. She's done with it, and she is she's trying to find a way out, either a way back or a way to be done, because she didn't ask for it. They have travelers, which is what she is. They have no memory of their former life. They are brought across as a clean slate, and the whole point being that they owe nobody, anybody, any allegiance, and so they would be allegiant to the king. And it's her process of discovering that maybe she doesn't want out after all. Um,
Can I interrupt a couple
mhm,
times here?
sure.
Uh, are there other travelers involved in the story, or is she? Yeah.
Yeah, she's not the only one. There are other travelers, 18 or 19, depending on how you look at who's who and where and why. Um, but there's about 18 of them.
Okay.
And she was in the first four or five brought through.
Oh, she's one of the
Yeah,
OGs.
she's one of the OGs. Yeah. Um,
And the setting, is it completely fantasy or, well, I guess if there's a portal through space and time, it could be anywhere really.
it's a magical portal, and it is in the you actually see its creation in the prologue of the first book, and it is a combination of magics that somehow tap through interdimensional the interdimensional fabric, and she is plucked away. Um, and so it's all magic based, so it's definitely fantasy.
So your character's like magically born into this world with nothing to base anything on, and
No
then
language, no nothing.
wow.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're just spit out somewhere, and you have to learn everything from ground zero.
Yeah, like when the Terminator appears in the bubble and he's all naked and stuff. Imagine that, but they don't know how to be a human,
Got it.
really.
No kidding. Okay, so it could go terribly wrong,
It could,
and
yeah.
it might.
Mhm.
uh, Not to give anything away, I'm about 60 pages in right now. So let's get down to a little bit more focused onto your character. Your
Okay.
character's name is Amryn,
Yep.
and I'm guessing she's a fighter.
Yes.
What's special about her?
She carries 7 blades. Her original trivia, originally when I was writing this, I had her nickname in the book be the Hydra, but then I realized that that's Earth-based mythology and really wouldn't have a place in that world. As actually one of the authors who is going to be in Author Adventures pointed out to me several years ago in a writing group, it was him that poo-pooed that idea. So she stopped being the Hydra, but she has 7 blades. She carries a great sword. She carries a short sword, a Legion issued short sword. She's part of the Legion. She carries 2 daggers and 3 throwing knives, and that is kind of her calling card. And she is incredible with the blade. Um, she is an exquisite killer, and she is the best at what she does.
Okay.
So,
Now, compared to the other travelers, like if she's the best, she's the best. She's the toughest one.
mhm,
Got it. So no matter if they're big, strong men or different races of creatures, she's just the best. All right.
she is. There's a
Um,
reason for that, and you'll find out later. But
okay. I look forward to it. Um, all right. Well, this next question is going to be kind of back to your roots. Why did you choose fantasy for your genre?
I vacillate between fantasy and science fiction. Um, the one of the women that I work with Lights Out Inc., who is the publisher of this book, um, says that I write fantasy. Science fiction is kind of more of my native tongue, but this is very easily my second language. I write fantasy because I am an escapist. I pretty much only read science fiction and fantasy because when I do that, I want to be somewhere else. And when I want to write mostly about things that really aren't or can't be, because we already live in the world that we live in, and I don't really want to rehash it. I like to go elsewhere. So I think I was always imagining fantastical things when I was little, and I've been writing stories. I don't want to say the cliche. I've been writing stories ever since I could talk, but I kind of have, and it's kind of my element. I've always gravitated toward fantasy. I was a big Mary Stuart Arthurian legend kid in high school, and Anne McCaffrey and dragons, which is more of a sci-fi fantasy. But yeah, I've just always been there. I think because I don't want to be in the real world. I want to be somewhere else. So
Right.
that.
We get it. I think anybody who's following along and is a reader of sci-fi, fantasy, playing D&D also,
Hmm.
fits right in there. Um, so now you're bringing Amryn, your character, your escapist character, to
Hmm.
a D&D campaign.
Yeah,
How familiar? Well, you said you've been playing for a little while. How
right.
familiar are you with D&D?
So my D&D story is kind of funny. The first game, so my brother who's 4 years younger than me. He was probably 12. That would be 12 or 13. He was into D&D and was playing D&D with his friends. Um, and that was in the 80s. And so whatever edition was out in about 85, 86, um, that's what he was playing. And I was on the dance team and I was doing all these things at school and high school, and I was also in choir. And so I had a lot of really kind of nerdy friends, and I got invited to play in a D&D game with two guys from the choir and the chemistry teacher who I didn't even have. I didn't take chemistry in high school. And so I played a half elf ranger, and as one does, I suppose, when they're first starting.
Sure.
And
Great choice.
yeah, I think they made it for me. And I barely remember playing that game. Like, it felt a little weird. I think probably because we were at our chemistry teacher's house, maybe. But um, I didn't really do much with it. I knew about it. I was behind it. I like didn't have any problem with it. And my kiddos, my boys, were really into it, my oldest and my youngest is into it at a whole nother level. He plays regularly in several campaigns. So I have spent many years sitting in the living room listening to him yell from his bedroom, and I've heard all kinds of things. I kind of came into it with a little bit of background knowledge just based on what I heard.
Right.
And he also, what's
When
that?
I first met you, you told me that you were a fan of D&D,
Yeah.
but not a player.
Yeah, I hadn't really been a player. We'd played a couple of games at home that either one or the other of my sons DM'd, so I had a general idea of the mechanics. And then my youngest got me to watch Critical Role. And the first time I watched Critical Role, I was like, I'm not sure I get all this. And I was a little like, what? And I don't know what kind of clicked, but then I guess as I saw his enthusiasm and my other kiddos' enthusiasm, I got into it. And now I play in two campaigns, one that you
All right.
run, and I've guested on Dicey Decisions, and I didn't die, so
Yeah.
that's good. I didn't kill anybody else. I tried to kill Ashrina, but that didn't happen. And it's become very much a part of my life, and it is. I wish I'd gotten there much sooner. So
And folks, if you're a fan of Brandy, you should watch her play D&D because she adds to the story as much as she can, and it's
tiefling
fun to play with.
librarian
Yeah,
made
absolutely.
it work.
So let's pull it back to Amron. How? So what I understand is we're playing a fifth level character. How do
Yes.
you take the toughest person in the world and put him into a fifth level D&D character? How did you do that?
I think we're still kind of tweaking that and making sure we did it right. We can't make her immortal. That's just
Right.
not gonna happen. So I think we're going human, barbarian, and I may be game testing a particular type of fighter that I can't really, I don't know if I'm doing that or not, so I'm not gonna say a lot about it, but it
Okay.
makes her really, really powerful and kind of makes up for the fact that I can't make her immortal. So
Okay.
like
Yeah,
high
so it's kind of
AC.
a homebrew
Yeah,
fighter class.
yeah.
You
The
know, there's
Justin, who will be D&D, who will be
right.
D&D, DMing for us, who is Tarlin in Dicey Decisions
Hmm.
game right now. He's going to be DMing, and it's something that he's kind of played around with. So yeah, it's a class of barbarian.
Gotcha.
So
Okay, interesting. There are some, I mean, this is just a total aside to be so geeky, but uh, there are some races that you can pick that will
mhm.
give you an almost immortal thing that, like, if you get knocked down, you can stand back up with one hit point. So
Right.
you may want to take a look at that type of thing. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a fifth level, you're getting 2 attacks per turn with the barbarian. And so I guess you can't take 7 attacks, maybe
No.
ever. But You got seven choices of what to do in your two attacks.
Well,
That's
I
going to be
do.
fun to watch.
I have a couple of melee options, and I have some ranged options with the throwing knives and the
Yep.
daggers. So I have options.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a fairly straightforward character to play.
Yeah,
Like she's a pissed off killer, and
pretty much.
she's going to pretty much just go through everybody like a buzzsaw.
And she's the thing about her that's so interesting is that yeah, she on the surface she is just she would like to rage all the time. She has this really deep backstory that kind of infuses that, and I hope that some of that comes through in the gameplay. That she's not just Hulk smash, because it kind of sounds right now like she is Hulk smash with weapons, and um, there's there's a side to her that I'm hoping I'm able to convey in the game that touches on her humanity, and I guess that's why we called it the Immortal Coil Saga, um, because she is trying to figure that whole thing out and not just be that angry immortal
Okay.
warrior
Well,
person that she is.
that's a beautiful segue because my next question was, what are you going to try to convey with your character in this
Mm.
one shot to the audience? What do you want the audience to get out of this experience?
I want I want them to be, and it's like I want them to be surprised. So I've sort of ruined that, but I want them to maybe see her be who she is in some unexpected moments. Because you don't know what's going to happen in the game, and you're sort of going on this journey. I don't even know what those moments will be, but I'm hoping that I'm enough in her head and I know enough about who she is that the reactions might even surprise me. I kind of hope they do. But I have had her in my brain for so many years now. I feel like I know her well enough to make those calls.
Well, if anyone knows how she's going to behave, it's you. So we'll
Mm.
see. But now you've told the audience what to expect, and so if they don't get that, if you don't actually method act that out, you're going to get some nasty tweets. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. So
is Amron anything like you?
I would have said, I guess about a couple of years ago, I would have said no. Well, okay, let me back it up. Amran, I thought was not like me at all. Amran was actually a character I created in the the shape of the face of what I wanted to be. Kind of a projection of this I can ironclad, I can do anything person, and she was my personal escape. And as I've in the last couple of years, I've had sort of this pivotal moment where I feel like maybe there is a lot more of her in me than I thought. Um, I think I'm a lot sillier than her, but there's I'm definitely as stubborn as she is. Definitely as stubborn as she is, and I don't like to lose. We were just talking about that today. I really, really, really dislike losing, and I'm pretty competitive. Okay, I'm a lot competitive, and I think that that is a definite piece of her personality that I am infusing in. She's a snarky person too. I know where you've gotten into the book and you've probably already picked up her her high level of snark and sass.
Um, yeah, I'm getting that feeling. Like she would rather give a comment that would annoy you than tell you what you want to hear.
Sometimes, yeah. Or she won't talk at all. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I do. I actually feel like I'm finding my inner Amarin as I've gone along. So in that sense, I feel like she as a character gave me strength rather than me giving it to her as a character. I feel like I'm drawing it from her and her story.
Yeah. And have you got any idea what trajectory you're going with in book two?
I've for those people who have read book one and have been bugging me about when book two is going to be done, I'm going to be sure that you know that there are words that have been written. There are definitely words that have been written. I think I have an idea of where this ultimately is going to go. This book is coming together in ways I hadn't really expected, and I'm as Brandon Sanderson would call a discovery writer. I don't really plan. I really like to let the characters and the situations guide me. Um,
Well, if that's the case, how do you know it's 3 books? How do you
because I
know it's
told
not
myself
2 or 7?
I
Yeah.
don't know. The thought is I can get this story done in 3 books. The overarching idea I have for the plot and the overarching idea I have for who's going to do what when. I feel like I can accomplish in 3. There have been times where I thought, "Oh gosh, maybe I can't do this in 3, maybe it's gonna take 5." But as I've gone along, I still feel like I it's probably gonna be 3.
Okay.
I don't know why I can tell you that, but I feel like that's just feels like the right number. I feel like that's where it's gonna I'm not gonna this isn't gonna be a 7, 8, 9. There's no way. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the questions I have for a lot of artists, authors. Like, there's so many trilogies.
Mhm.
How do you plan it out to be exactly like it feels like you would have to put a whole bunch of filler in there, but there never is. Or maybe you
No,
have to edit way down to stay in 3. Yeah.
and if it isn't 3, then it will be 4. So, and if I may, I mean, I'm not gonna say it'll be 2. I don't think that's possible, but um, it will be what it is when it gets there, kind of thing. So I know Pierce Brown thought he was gonna finish it with the one he just came out with, but ta-da, there's one more. So you can always say, yeah, it'll end at book 3, and then book 4 comes out. So we'll
Well,
see.
there's never really an end to stories, I guess.
Mm-mm. That's just when you're done telling it,
Yeah.
I think.
Or if you just kill her off, that would be a way to end.
She is immortal, so that might be a little problematic, but we'll see. This isn't a Highlander kind of,
Mm.
there can be only one off with his head kind of thing, but um that's funny because Highlander is one of my comp titles. Highlander and Highlander meets Throne of Glass, but
Oh, I just had such a good question and it was
yeah.
in and out in a millisecond. Well, let me
Ah,
go to my actual question that I have written down. Um, how nervous or comfortable are you feeling by bringing 5 authors together who barely know one? I guess you know a couple of them, okay, but
I know one.
okay.
Yeah.
And bringing them into a situation like Dungeons and Dragons.
Mhm.
And I think Justin's going to do a great job because
Oh
he's
yeah.
very good at dealing with people. But what's your confidence level here?
I honestly, okay, a couple of months ago, my confidence level wouldn't be as high, but I've played since, and I've played on a stream, and I survived. So that part of it, my confidence is growing. I'm actually totally psyched about this because if you think about it, 9 times out of 10, D&D gets played by a group of friends or acquaintances. You have to like kind of meet each other and know each other. I know that there are new people that come in, but we don't really know each other, and it's going to feel very like the actual sort of instances in a campaign where they all come together and meet each other. So we are going to really be able to be that. There's no inside jokes. There's no oh
Right.
kind of stuff. We don't know
Sure.
each other, so our characters are all going to be introduced not only to us as authors but to our own characters. So that's I think it's going to be a really cool representation, an honest representation.
The first thing that comes into my mind is they're all the stars of their own story. So
Right.
now what?
Well,
Everybody thinks they're the toughest one.
I think that dynamic is I think you're gonna see some of that, maybe a little bit of a power struggle, but I think that's where you're gonna get to the nature of the characters themselves. And I don't know that Amryn really wants to be a leader.
Hmm.
I don't think she does. I think she just wants to do what she needs to do and get it
She's
done.
Batman. She's going to
She's
do
pretty
her own
much.
stuff.
So, yeah, we've got a witch, we've got an orc, we've got a couple of half a fae and a half fae. So,
Fun.
yeah.
Interesting.
I think
Well,
Amber is the only one who doesn't really have a magical ability. So, she's the tank.
but she is a magical creature. It sounds, I mean,
She is.
I don't want to say anything about the book because I don't know, but spitting out of nowhere, a person
Right.
that appears.
There is
And
something of
she can't
obviously being
die.
immortal, you have to
Right.
have some sort of magical
Right.
element, but not one that she knows of or acknowledges.
Well, I wouldn't be too surprised if this became more than a one shot.
That'd be great.
I think like you may not be able to tell the story you want to tell in just one episode, but maybe it will. Maybe it'll be the best one shot ever.
Maybe. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any parting words that you have? Any?
Um, if you, I think, go to, I want to be able to support all the authors who are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And because we really tried to focus on indie authors, and most of us are self published or indie published. And it's all about helping each other out. And I think there was a video prior to this, a little bit giving you a little information about the characters and the titles that they're from. Um, I'll try to get links in so that I think people should go out and get the stories where they are available. Like I know mine is out and available. I
Yeah.
think
Plug
Susan's
away.
is. Yeah.
Where do we find your book? Can you tell us?
Uh, on my link tree or any of my socials, they're all B Schomburg author at everywhere. So my TikTok handle is B Schomburg author, Instagram B Schomburg author. So I think it's B Schomburg auth, AUTH.
Okay.
So I'm not hard to find.
If people search anything like that, they'll find you.
Yes, if you Google my name, actually it comes up. My link tree comes up. So
And I don't know if you've said what's the title of your book.
it is called The Gate.
There it is. Oh, and there's a Himrin.
And it is
All right.
available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I recently saw BookBub, and recently just heard that it is available in the Austin Public Library, which blew
At
my
East
mind.
Austin's public library.
Yes, it is. And it's currently checked out, so you can't check it out yet.
All right. Well, thanks again, Brandy. This has been a pleasure. And good luck with your fun game. I can't wait to watch.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.